Amber.
Hi, Megan.
Welcome to Bad Movies Rock.
Thank you, Megan. Megan, welcome to Bad Movies Rock, where we are once again in the October month. What?
Woohoo!
Took us so long to get to the scary, horror-y type monstery movies? You ask, well, honestly, it was us trying to be more on top of recording. We may have missed a few weeks because of some scheduling conflicts and some, let's say, things that were outside of our control.
Sure.
And in our attempt to do better by you, our beloved listeners, we thought, okay, let's record a couple, just get them stockpiled, and then
Get
go.
them in there.
And unfortunately, so we recorded them in September before the hallowed season of October. But now we're in October. It's been 2 weeks, and we're just now recording an episode for the third week. I'm sorry we failed you. Maybe we'll push into November and keep this train rolling. I don't know.
So. It depends on what we find interesting to watch and record on.
You're not wrong. We are fickle and unpredictable.
True.
We zig and we might zag. In fact, we actually watched another movie for this episode, realized afterwards that it was way too good for us to be doing.
Yeah.
We're on the fence about doing it anyway because we make the rules.
We do.
And then for Friday Night Fight Nights with our dear friend and listener, Michael, we thought, hey, let's do a Friday Night Fight and Fright Night.
Yes.
Because Halloween times. And when we looked up martial arts horror movies, there were a plethora of options, a lot of them vampire related. And I saw Blade, and Megan and Michael both realized they'd never seen it and decided that was the movie for them.
Yep.
And so this wasn't actually even supposed to be a BMR movie. This was just a fun friend night movie. And we realized...
gotta talk about this. Gotta talk about Blade.
Oh, there are many reasons to talk about Blade. It is reviewed poorly enough for us to discuss. It is good enough that it should be talked about. It's a movie that I kind of grew up on a little bit. And so that also puts it right in our sweet spot. But, oh man, Megan, there is one thing in particular that makes this especially necessary. And we will get to that. But first, let's get our listeners ready. Let's situate them well within the Blade universe by playing Which is Which.
Excellent.
Megan, I shall read you summaries from IMDb, Amazon, Metacritic, and Amber, and you shall tell me which is which.
I'm ready. Let's do this thing.
Excellent. The legend of an immortal warrior who battles a thriving underworld of vampires seeking to decimate the human race.
Okay.
A half-vampire, half-mortal man becomes a protector of the mortal race while slaying evil vampires.
Okay.
Wesley Snipes plays a half-mortal, half-immortal, charged with ridding the earth of a race of vampires led by Stephen Dorff in this action-packed blockbuster.
Wow, they're all pretty simple and short. This is going to be rough. Okay.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one.
Right.
A half-human, half-vampire kills vampires because his father figure trained him to, and also because a vampire killed his mom. He really wants to kill the one vampire named Frost because Frost thinks vampires should rule the world because humans are food people, and his plan is to turn all the food people into vampires using a vampire god power thing, which really just doesn't make sense. Like, what the fuck are they all going to eat once they're all vampires? Starring Wesley Snipes.
Excellent. Beautiful. Okay.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with my heart here, Amber. Just to say... Amazon, IMDb, Metacritic, Amber.
Metacritic.
Metacritic. Really?
IMDb, Amazon. Okay. So you're right on the IMDb. This was a tough one.
Huh. I feel like Amazon doesn't always give the credits.
It will sometimes.
I mean, I guess I associate that more with Metacritic.
Definitely more with Metacritic, but it's usually in parentheses with Metacritic, so you can kind of see it's. And I would say, just, my own observation could be absolutely wrong, but the action-packed blockbuster, kind of an Amazon move, less of a Metacritic move.
Yep.
It's tough.
So now you're critiquing me. I see how it is. Do you want to play this game,
Megan? I critique because I care. I want you to improve. I want you to be the best which player you can be. And so far, you have been at the top of your game. But when you stumble, I want to be there, not to catch you.
No,
but to make you aware that you fucked up and to tell you how you should have not.
to point down at the rock that I stumbled on. And
Do you
say,
see that rock?
Don't step on that again.
You should have seen it. But for future notice, I guess don't step on the rock that you should have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Amber.
Oh, hi. Yes.
We watched the 1998 Blade.
You know, you could almost get away with doing that at this point because they are making a Blade for next year starring, I believe, Mahershala Ali.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I'm very excited about. But
very excited about this.
I'm still mad at you for saying that.
I know.
Who is in this film, Megan? Who is in this movie film from the 1998?
Well, Wesley Snipes, obviously, as you said. I said his name weird. Let me try that again. Well, Amber, Wesley... Oh my god, I can't say Wesley, apparently. Amber, we've got, of course, Wesley Snipes. Why?
Ooh!
Snipes? Why is this happening to me?
Ooh.
Amber, who's in this movie? You do it.
You realize I have to keep that all in
Fuck,
now.
I know! Damn it.
You just did that to yourself by making it a funny joke. Well, Megan, Wesley Snipes plays the titular character Blade.
Yes,
Starring opposite Nabushe Wright.
Yep.
Playing Karen, the
yes.
hematologist.
Maybe the star of the film. It's hard to say.
We also have Chris Christopherson as Whistler. Stephen Dorff as Deacon Frost, bad guy vampire. And Donald Logue as Quinn, bad guy vampire's hench vampire. And number 2, I would say. There's also recognizably Udo Kier as Dragonetti, a surprisingly powerless vampire leader.
Vampire elder, yeah, it's weird, yeah.
I kind of want to talk about that a little bit because
vampire politics are confusing in this movie.
Surprisingly toothless, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Ooh. But Amber, before we get to all that, what does Metacritic have to say about this movie?
They don't have nice things to say. I don't know the exact specifics because I can't... It's not working. The Metacritic site has wronged me twice. One, by aggregating the critical score into a 47. I mean, users gave it an 80. But 47 for the critics. But I can only read the blurbs of about 6 of them because when you click on see all 25 reviews, it takes you to nowhere. So Metacritic, fucking fix that shit. People need to know.
You've got a weak Metacritic.
Wait, why do they have a week?
I don't know, from like when they listen to this till we record the new one. But that all gets messed up with the timing it takes. Anyway, yeah.
Okay. Deadlines are important.
Yeah. A week!
What does Rotten Tomatoes have to say, Megan?
It's a 57 for the critics and a 78 for the audience.
That's a little better.
Yeah.
Still not good enough, if you ask me. What is I can give you some insights into what the blurbs are saying, but what do you have on your end?
Amber, you should come for the blood rave. Stay for the kick-ass action sequences.
Absolutely. 100% true.
Polygon. Yep.
Oh, Polygon's 100.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Polygon.
Polygon again. Got. Wow. It's not even late. It's early, Amber.
I know. We did this on purpose, and yet.
Polygon got in there, Amber. Wow.
Just the moans of your dog in the background.
I know. She's
hilarious.
Chill.
She is also upset with your tripping.
Yeah, apparently.
What else, Megan? What else?
It's good, plain action movie fun. Some people don't like the stylized of it and call it glum.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The movie about vampires is too dark for you.
It's too gory, apparently, for some people.
Yeah, no, vampire slang should be a lot cleaner than it is.
Yeah, silly, pumped-up techno thriller in which Snipes spends 24/7 slaying vampires.
Yeah. That's the fucking point.
That's the best, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I do love that somebody is complaining about comic movies. I have to assume they're writing that now because
they are. Yeah.
They did not exist when Blade was made. I mean, Spawn had been made, which another comic book character starring a black man, interestingly to me.
Yes. Yep.
But MCU didn't exist. X-Men hadn't even been made yet. This was, I mean, other than Batman, one of the few, and this turned into a franchise. They were 3 films. I'm not saying the other 2 were great, but they exist.
Yep.
This was on the vanguard of let's make a Marvel comic book movie.
Yeah. Yep.
And it starred a black actor and a black character who was not one of the central figures in the MCU. I mean, there's so much to love about this movie. There's so much to love about it getting made. And these people aren't even recognizing those facts.
Yep.
Any mention of N'Bushe Wright's character? Fucking Karen.
That is a very big glaring. The good reviews, the bad reviews, none of them talk about N'Bushe.
And it's fine. Like, if you don't like, I guess, dark comic book style action. I mean, the good reviews have it right. It's an action movie. It's a well-made action movie. The cinematography is great. The choreography is really good. Wesley Snipes has great physicality and intensity in the role. He has an idea of what this character should be and plays it. I mean, obviously, this is his passion project. And if you're not into that, fine. The script is a little silly. There's some silly dialogue. Some people say the story is played out, but I think those are people writing from now, not the 90s.
It's very confusing, and I don't fully understand. Maybe one day I should figure this out. But like, there's a review that's credited as being from July of 2015, and it says that has the comic book movie reached the end of the line? You know, and it's like, dude, like this, you do know that this was from like almost 20 years ago at the time you're writing this, because
the beginning of the line.
It's the beginning of it. And to have no perspective on that seems a little bit stupid to me. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I clicked on the full review and the article doesn't exist anymore. So I'm not sure, like, did it really come out in 2015? Is it citing something from earlier? I don't know, Amber.
Oh, interestingly, one of the, this must be a review from Current Times. Is from The Guardian, Peter Bradshaw. Like, Blade is an entertainingly macabre and excitingly staged action horror with a propulsive energy and a prototype bullet time sequence 1 year before the Wachowskis made it famous in The Matrix. Like, there's some real Matrix energy in this movie.
Oh, for sure.
That came out before The Matrix. Like, from the aesthetic, the character style, and some, like, there is something similar to a bullet time sequence in this movie. It's... yeah, I mean, there are a lot of beats that exist here that get played out later in other films.
Yep.
And this predates them.
Yep.
And so it's interesting to me to have people look back on it and say, "Oh, this is so played out." It's like, no, motherfucker, this is actually kind of on the vanguard of a lot of shit. Like having a black man star in a comic book action movie, focusing on a black character, and like having more than one black character. Having a strong female character that none of these motherfuckers bother mentioning. I mean, maybe in the rest of their articles they do, but fuck you for not pulling the blurbs mentioning that shit, because that seems relevant.
Yep.
Like there's, and just, the way it's shot. And even the silliness of the dialogue and the script, that's actually pretty par for the course. What I didn't know is that it was from a script by David S. Goyer, who wrote Dark City. And I love Dark City. I'm going to make you watch that at some point.
Okay.
And is that movie is significantly more clever than this one. And I'm not saying, I have definitely sat through significantly worse, more laughable dialogue than I have in this. Some of the one-liners in this are a bit head-scratchy, but even when they don't land, they're delivered so well that I kind of don't care.
Right.
Like, Wesley Snipes is amazing. And N'Bushe Wright is amazing. Chris Christopherson, really good.
Very good, yes.
One of the reviews that I'm able to look at mentioned that Dorf is terrible. I don't know that he's terrible.
I don't know that he's terrible. So the Roger Ebert review, which is actually from 1998, says that kind of all the fun is on the villain side. Like, so he has the, like, over-the-top, like, ridiculousness, and Wesley Snipes basically plays it like he's the straight man in this. Like, he's for the most part, like, the hardcore vampire hunter. I
mean, and that makes sense.
It totally makes sense, but I think that, like,
it puts a lot of heavy lifting on Dorf's character, and Dorf doesn't necessarily deliver because he has to kind of almost be campy.
Exactly. Yes, I think he's over the top in this for sure.
As opposed
Which I don't mind.
No. No, I think he's there's a little menace there, and there's a little smarm there, and there's a little he's having more fun, I guess, than Blade is, certainly. So Critic Corner. You don't mention Anne Boucher Wright's character, Karen, at all. You don't mention Chris Christopherson, who accomplishes a lot with Wesley Snipes in their very limited screen time. And we'll talk about that. A lot of you do recognize that it's a great comic book movie, but the fact that we have so many people writing 15, 20 years after this movie came out, and not saying that it was more or less kind of on the vanguard of comic book movies, or even mentioning good for you for making a fucking existing IP character that happens to be black into a trilogy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's nothing about that.
And I'm sure there are reviews that exist that mention those things. I'm sure some of these reviews do bring that up. I would be surprised if the AV Club didn't. But grabbing the blurb that basically says this is derivative and played out is kind of a head scratcher because, goddamn, it's from 1998, people.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Critics Corner.
Yeah.
Also, 47. No.
Yeah, 47 is way too low.
This is way too entertaining to be a 47. Oh, also, it's rated R.
It's rated R, folks. Yeah. Yeah, Deadpool is not the first superhero movie with an R rating. It's essentially the first Marvel movie that is the...
Rated R, made some money, got some sequels. I don't know how much money, but enough to make some sequels. And I don't think that is just based on Wesley Snipes' joy and charisma alone. It's... I feel like this movie is vaguely important, and I feel like it is well enough accomplished. I mean, this is high 50s, probably a 60. I guess Rotten Tomatoes kind of has it closer to right, but honestly, this is like a solid 65. This is a well-made, decently done action movie.
I'd even push it up a little higher because of what we're going to talk about soon.
You rebel, you.
Yes.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, Amber. So you mentioned, Amber, that this is an R-rated movie. It's got plenty of blood. There's a bloodbath rave that happens, where just blood comes out of the sprinklers for reasons.
Because it's a vampire rave. What?
Yeah.
What else would come out of the sprinklers, Meghan?
Sure. So lots of blood, some cussing.
A lot of F-bombs. It's great.
Yeah. But you know what's noticeably missing is there's not any nudity.
But Meghan, it's R-rated. That means that they can show them titties.
They could, but they don't.
But why not? Are there no ladies in this movie?
There's actually one very prominent lady who Karen, who does a fantastic job. But yeah, it turns out they don't need to kind of shoehorn in a love story between them. There's no
whoa.
Yeah.
Blade and Karen don't wind up together?
They don't have to he and she don't have to fall in love because they met 2 days beforehand.
But wait, he's a boy and she's a girl.
Yeah, weird, right?
Well, we at least see her boobs though.
No boobs.
Okay, but she's the main lady actor. So, but there are lots of other ladies in the background, right?
Sure. Yeah.
We see their boobs.
We don't. There's in the rave scene. There's definitely some like skin showing, but no boobage.
I don't.
It's confusing.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
So that is just delightful. I'm not saying don't show boobs. Obviously, show boobs if it makes sense to show boobs
for sure. But
you don't boobs.
Yep.
But I think especially in like vampire movies where you have a lot of lady vampires, half the time they're just topless for reasons, and it's not for reasons. Women are often background topless in these types of movies so that men can look at boobs.
Right. And to make this kind of like unspeaking role of these sycophantic vampire ladies who are just like,
sexual fantasies of the vampires that are, that don't do anything except like,
idolize the top vamper.
Indeed. And thus you can place yourself in the role of that man. Yeah. So, yay for that. And also, it is a movie about blood-sucking monsters getting murdered by a dude with a sword. If there were no blood, it would be weird. And if nobody was saying, fuck, it would be weird. Mm-hmm. Just like, that guy just bit that guy's neck, fuck! It wouldn't be like, oh gosh darn.
Yeah, gee golly.
That's just really confounding. They're, well, not bleeding everywhere, but certainly losing vital life force. We can't see any of it, but I don't think you're gonna be okay.
Yep.
That's how Mickey does Blade.
Yes. Oh, man. I don't want to see that movie.
No, I don't either. So yeah, R rating, yay. No unnecessarily female body exploitation, yay. Things you do get to look at in this movie, some cool-ass costumes, honestly.
Yeah.
Blade's costume is...
Blade looks good, yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it's very Matrix-y, and again, I say that, this came before Matrix, but that's where people will touchstone too. He's got the long leather coat, that blows in the wind when he walks. Very cinematic.
And like cool leather body armor, because he's not bulletproof and bullets are coming at him. But it's the vest itself is really neatly designed, and I'm sure a lot of it is taken from the comic book aesthetic, but like he's wearing the coat the whole time until the end scene when shit gets, more hand-to-hand physical, a little more, pumped up primal violence, and that's when the coat comes off and you see those guns and like the full extent of the vest and harness, which is pretty cool.
It is very cool. Yeah.
He's got the blade down the back, his trademark katana. That's real cool. He's got a couple other neat weapons that he uses.
Yeah, he's got like a I don't know, a tri-blade boomerang almost that he sends around the room to take off a bunch of heads.
That's just great.
It's brilliant. Yeah. Yep. It's fun to watch.
A shotgun with stakes, and then just bandoliers of stuff applied to his person. Even when he adds, like these essentially injectable serums later on, it still looks pretty fucking badass. He's got a muscle car that's cool. He's got a motorcycle that we get to see at the end. It's all great stuff.
And the like you said before, like Wesley Snipes is he's a very good martial artist, and like the reason we watched this was for martial arts plus horror, and this delivers on that.
You got vampires,
just very cool hand-to-hand vampire fights, and the action sequences are pretty fun.
The opening scene was pretty well known and like lauded. Like the music, the song that's playing is like, it's the Blade rave scene song.
Yeah.
And it's this, I mean, the real opening scene is also pretty bloody. It's a woman with a massive neck wound bleeding everywhere, giving birth in an emergency room and dying. And so like, that's how Blade gets born. Blade's mom is pregnant, bit by a vampire, and she gives birth to a half vampire baby and who is immediately orphaned. And then it moves into the rave scene, which I feel like the opening of this movie is really well done. You have the past sort of origin, violent origin.
Without it being too much,
it's not too much.
Without it being too much time spent.
Yep. It's like, it's this desperate moment. It's kind of traumatic and sad. And then we move into this dumb guy being led to this meat-packing secret rave club scene where no one is interested in dancing with him, and then you learn it's because they're all vampires. The sprinklers, because I like chocolate milk, not all the time, but sometimes I enjoy chocolate milk. I don't live on chocolate milk. I probably only have it like once every couple of years, but I enjoy it. So if I were, say, at a rave scene, I would definitely want to be just smothered in something I enjoy drinking, right?
Yeah.
Something sticky and tacky that would really just dry really poorly.
Yeah.
That's sexy to me.
Yeah.
When I go to the club, I want just a root beer shower.
Oh, yeah. Hot tea shower. Yeah.
Oh, Megan, that would scald you. That's just silly.
Sorry.
Thai iced tea shower.
Thai iced tea shower. Yeah.
So yeah, and then they all attack him, and then, well, they're going to attack him. They seem to just be playing with him. And then Blade just strides in and just starts slaughtering people who turn into, smoldering ash when they're staked or shot. It's a good scene. He's great in it. There's the stunt double they use is great in it. Snipes does a lot, but they definitely have a double who's very talented. And just the stunt players that they use throughout the movie are really good, really talented. The scenes are shot really, really well. It's even the club scene itself. It's very 90s, but kind of not trying to be 90s, sort of trying to have a futuristic bent to it. And so it's a little like sleek, sophisticated club whaler. This is what we think people will be into a decade from now. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely still the 90s.
It's definitely,
there's a good look to the movie and the toys in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
The other person who also does a great job is Chris Christopherson as Whistler, who's essentially like Blade's like mentor, father figure. He's also like taught him how to vampire hunt and has a whole like tech lab where he works on something to keep Blade alive. What is he giving him? He's giving him injections to like keep Blade from like wanting to drink blood, I guess.
It's a serum, Meghan.
Yes.
It's the serum, obviously, and it curbs his blood cravings so that he can operate as a half vampire without being a blood drinking monster.
Yep.
It doesn't seem to feel good when he takes it, and we learn he's building up a resistance to it.
Yes.
Bit of a ticking clock on this half vampire hunter. Mm-hmm. But yeah, their relationship is, he's not in a ton of scenes. He's there to not really info dump. It never really feels that level of just, here's everything you need to know. It's after the rave scene, Blade, instead of killing Frost's lieutenant outright like he did everybody else, he sets him on fire, kind of to be a dick. But then the cops come and put him out before the fire can finish the job. And he winds up in a morgue and being worked on by some doctors there. And obviously he snaps awake and starts eating them. Blade shows up to finish the job, but not before, unfortunately, a hematologist who's intrigued by the blood sample taken from this corpse is assaulted. The lieutenant being Donald Logue's character, whose name I've forgotten.
So this is Quinn. So in this scene, apparently Donald Logue has broken his or dislocated his jaw before, and it can dislocate kind of semi easily, right? So apparently while they were doing this scene, when he's covered with gore and like it looks like he's been burned, and
very effectively
at some point
too. He seems crispy and gross. That was some good
He does seem
work.
Real crispy. Yeah. Apparently during this scene, he dislocated his jaw and they had to go to the real hospital with him in his makeup. So it looked like it was like,
that's amazing.
It looked like there was this like,
oh shit, take him to the burn ward. No. We're here for dislocated jaw. But he's, oh God, how are you still alive?
Yep. Pretty great.
Well done.
Yeah. Okay. So this is where we get,
This is where we meet N. Boucher Wright's character, Karen.
Yes.
She's a hematologist. She's attacked by, I've already forgotten, Quinn. And Blade is there to put Quinn down, but not in time. Quinn escapes, but not before Blade cuts off his hand. Mm-hmm. And so Quinn runs, missing a hand, and Blade is about to walk away when you think he saves Karen because she reminds him of his mother?
Yeah. There's a little flashback there, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. And he brings her to Whistler. They're at their secret hideout, and Whistler injects her with a garlic, then gives her a 50-50 chance of not becoming a vampire.
Yeah. Yep.
And they watch her, and he's like, if you start to turn, got to shoot yourself in the head because
you don't want this.
You don't want this.
Yeah.
And then they just release her into the wild. So you have Whistler first showing up as sort of this gruff, okay, here's the deal. This is what I can do to kind of save you. Here's the world you live in. You're learning some stuff about it. I'm not going to download everything to you. All right, go back to your life. Mm-hmm. And beyond that, Whistler kind of mostly interacts really with Karen. He's in scenes with Blade, but they're not necessarily being like, oh, I've known you forever. You're my father figure. Raising you was really great, but tough and rewarding.
Yep.
You don't get that kind of bullshit. You just get these quick moments. A lot of times they're not talking to each other or they're exchanging unrelated dialogue, but both Snipes and Christopherson do a really, really good job through unrelated dialogue and moments with just physicality and facial expressions and intonation.
And working so what, like they don't necessarily have a conversation, but they're both doing things in this, like, you know, lab / like hideout. And they're just like working kind of like clockwork, you know, around each other a little bit. And then Blade gets his serum and Whistler like just holds his hand. And like, again, no word said, just like there as support.
It all belies, without saying it, a long-standing, deep relationship that's familial, that's trusting, and that is kind of the core of their lives without actually saying those words to you. It is like Meghan said, Blade gets his serum. It's obviously very uncomfortable. He's strapped to a chair, but Whistler holds his hand while he's going through the throes of this experience. No conversation. They're not even looking at each other, I don't think. It's just like physically being present for a person. And so it shows the depth of their relationship and the importance of that relationship. And you get just enough information from Whistler to Karen as he's explaining things about Blade that it doesn't feel like an info dump, but in 5 to 10 minutes of combined screen time throughout these scenes, you get enough of a sense and value for the relationship between Blade and Whistler to get real payoff when Whistler is eventually, spoilers, moited.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And going back to now my touchstone for terrible backstory.
Beat that horse. Beat that dead horse.
You've got Moonfall, which does so little with so much time spent. And in this case, we do so much with so little time spent. And how that's you know, this is a 90s action vampire horror movie, and they'd nail it.
Comic book action vampire horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they nail it. And props to Snipes and Christopherson, obviously.
For sure, yeah. Yep, and the writing, like,
and the
writing is
yep.
Yeah, often, like, the writing's not perfect. Obviously, the dialogue's not perfect. It can be very silly. But they nail it in some really key scenes. Or maybe they nail it because they don't say anything for a lot of those scenes.
So, general plot of this movie, Blade kills vampires, Karen gets attacked. Karen is now in the world. She's at one point released into the wild again, but they're just using her as bait to try and get to Quinn, and specifically Quinn's boss, Frost, played by Stephen Dorff.
Yes.
Frost has this big plan. He's a turned vampire. We learn that there are pureblood vampires who are born that way. They're not, as almost all of the blurbs suggest, immortal. They just age more slowly.
Yeah. This just occurred to me now. So would a vampire and a vampire have sex and then have a vampire baby?
Apparently, yes.
Is that a pureblood vampire?
If you're born that way, yeah, you gotta be, yeah. Okay. They can bone, I guess.
I guess they can have vampire babies.
Breastfeeding sounds horrifying.
Painful. Yeah.
Anywho. But yeah, there's clearly sort of a hierarchy system where the purebloods are running things and the bitten ones don't, but there's a weirdness here. There's this council of like high-ranking old vampires, and they talk about a treaty with the mortals, and Frost is all, we should be ruling. Why are we skulking around? They're like, stop having big raves. It's going to piss off the cops and all the people that we pay off and have treaties with. Because obviously the powers that be know about vampires and allow predation as long as it doesn't get too out of hand. And Frost is like, fuck, they're a fucking food. How come I have to skulk around? I want to have my parties and bite whoever I want to bite. Y'all are stupid. And they're like, don't do it anymore. But there doesn't seem to be any level of enforcement. In fact, all of these supposedly very powerful, very old vampires fear him.
Yeah, they all seem to
Through no real explanation as to why. It's at one point, Udo Kier's character finds Frost in a place that's only supposed to be reserved for purebloods. And he says, you're not supposed to be here. And then Frost just sort of stares at him. And then Udo walks away.
Yeah, it's very confusing. Like the politics of these vampires seem very I don't know.
Yeah.
There seems to be politics, but then they're not enforced, and then it's a little confusing.
It is very, but basically Frost he's a young upstart turned who wants to overturn not only the vampire caste system, but also wants to awaken a vampire blood god.
La Magra.
And use it to rule the humans, but also turn most of them into vampires.
Yeah. Yep. It's a little confusing on why that would be a good thing for him.
Yeah. So that's his plan. It involves using the heads of the vampire house's purebloods, as well as the Chosen One.
The Chosen One, a half vampire, half human.
Exactly. He's who has the best of both worlds. He's got all the strengths, none of the weaknesses, man. He's a daywalker. Oh yeah, in this obviously iteration of vampires, silver bad, garlic bad, sun bad.
Yep. Crosses do nothing.
It's all different. It's always but that's so they can't go out in the sun, and that's why being a daywalker is cool, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
But you would ask yourself, where does Karen come in? Was she simply bait? Are we done with Karen? Oh, you stupid fool. Megan and I wouldn't give a shit about well, we'd probably still watch it and enjoy it, but we wouldn't give as much of a shit about this movie if that was all there was to Karen. Megan? Tell me about Karen.
Yeah, Karen is just chill as hell and on board with everything almost from the get-go. She's a little pissed that they used her as bait, but then she kind of quickly gets it and yeah, she's just ready to go shoot some guns and kill some vampires and to do some research. She's a hematologist, so great. Let's look at this Chosen One's blood and figure it out. Let's look at some vampire blood and figure it out.
I am a brilliant black lady hematologist scientist. I am attacked by a vampire. I watched that vampire kill my annoying ex-boyfriend. And I'm saved by this pretty cool guy who's sort of taciturn and takes me to this other old white guy who injects me with garlic and says, I may or may not become a monster.
Yep.
I'm attacked by a cop in my home who's just going to murder me.
Yep.
And I learned that, there's vampires everywhere. They look just like us. More importantly, they also have a bunch of servants who are just like us. And a couple of them have little neck tattoos to designate who they belong to. And shit, okay, wow, new rules to the world. Apparently I am wanted dead because I know about this. Fuck, it's just a mess. The cops are in on it. What do I do? Oh, yeah, I take control of this fucking situation. I might become a vampire? Fine, I'll find a fucking cure.
Yes.
While I'm doing that, I find a fucking anticoagulant that makes vampire blood explode. Here, Blade, here's a new fun weapon for you. Hey, I'm going to come with you so that I can get control of the situation. Have you ever used a gun? Nope, but I'll figure it the fuck out. Chick. She is... there is none of that damsel in distress. The only time Blade saves her is in the hospital when she's been attacked. And he doesn't even save her. He brings her to Whistler, who maybe buys her some time with some garlic injection. And then she motherfucking saves herself by finding a cure.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then
It takes her like a day and a half to find a cure to vampirism.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And a new weapon for Blade to use.
She's brave as hell. She's chill as hell. She pays attention. She listens, and she's smarter than every motherfucker there. Like she's got the science and the kick-ass. Every other person would be like doing something stupid to further the plot, or get captured, or not listening, or running around screaming, or no, Karen is not a damsel. Karen is in control, and Karen is just, okay, so what next?
Yep.
Vampires, killing him, cool. He takes her to this underground archive where there's this giant kind of flesh ball vampire.
Yep.
And she uses a UV light to torture it to help him get information. And then Blade goes to blow open a door and says, if he moves, fry him. And he twitches a bit, and she just kills him. just
kind of horribly, with like essentially burning him to death with a UV light.
Yeah, just crisps him, and Blade gives her a look. And Kira's like, he moved.
Yeah.
Am I supposed to feel bad about this? You said he moved, and dead.
Yep.
Done. And then Meghan. She saves Blade.
Yes.
She essentially is the reason a god gets killed.
Yes.
And she fucking saves herself from a pit with a zombie vampire, no weapons. Fucking woman is okay. Let's talk about the end of this movie, because for me the end of this movie is Karen's big moment. Is Karen?
Yes, for sure.
This movie is Karen's movie. Blade is merely an instrument of her vengeance against the vampires that attacked her. The vampires that had the gall to attack her. You finish the job when you come for Karen, or Karen will come from you and she will fucking kill your gods.
Yes, she will. Yeah, so they end up in this like I don't know, temple for this big ceremony to happen to bring back La Magra. Mm-hmm. They need, of course, the blood of Blade. They stick Karen into a pit with her ex-boyfriend, who's been turned. Apparently, sometimes instead of becoming vampires, people become vampire zombies. It's unclear why this happens, or he's the only one we see. Anyway, they just kind of like stick her down in a pit because they don't care enough to take care of her. Their big mistake, Amber. Big mistake.
Fools. Because they have Blade. They're able to. They find Blade's hideout. They torture Whistler, leave him alive just enough for Blade to show up and have a conversation with him. They steal Karen at the same time they take out Whistler. And basically say, hey, Blade, here's where we're going to be. Come for us. And Whistler's like, it's a trap, right? They need you to complete this ritual. Mm-hmm. And Blade's pissed. Whistler's death is traumatic. It's awful. And it's not that he needs to save Karen. I think there's some value there, but it's revenge for Whistler.
Oh, it's for sure.
Take it out for us. Even if it's a trap, he's going to go in hard. And he goes in hard. And he does a lot of good work. But then he discovers that his mom didn't die after giving birth. She turned into a vampire. And that kind of throws him for a loop long enough for him to get knocked the fuck out. Understandable.
Yep.
Which means the ritual happens. He's put in his little bleeding coffin to bleed on the heads of the whatever. It's a weird thing. But he's captured. He's done. And Karen is tossed into this pit. Fucking Karen knocks out zombie guy, finds a bone, climbs out of this impossible, vertical tunnel, makes her way to Blade, frees him, gives him her blood so that he can go do some work downstairs. Then she comes, grabs a gun from a guy, shoots him with his own gun, and then just starts killing vampires. She explodes one lady's head. It's great. She's doing work in this end scene, while Wesley Snipes is also doing some pretty impressive, hand-to-hand murder times downstairs. Yep. It's good. It's a good scene for him, too. But he's a half vampire with martial arts training. Karen is a blood scientist who just had to crawl her way out of a pit.
Yeah. Yep.
And she's doing work. She saves him. And he has a fun little sword fight with Frost. Cuts Frost in half. Frost just reforms. Uh-oh, he's a blood god now. We can't, no matter how much chopping we do, we can't kill Frost. Well, what are we going to do? Oh, I know. Because fucking Karen already figured this the fuck out before we even knew a blood god existed. She fucking gave him anticoagulant serum that makes you explode. So he fills Frost full of anticoagulant serum. He explodes.
So much. He just, yeah.
Karen
mystifies.
Kills a god.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You don't fuck with Karen, vampers.
Nope.
Don't fuck with Karen.
Yeah. It's Karen's story.
This is Karen's
Blade
story.
just lives in it. Yeah.
He does the things that Karen cannot do. But you know what Karen can do is cure vampirism and blow up vampires and fucking learn to use guns and blow up ladies' heads and just be such a survivor. So chill. So on board. It was delightful to watch. It was almost disturbing.
Yes.
I love Karen. And Boucher Wright does an amazing job.
Yes.
I love Wesley Snipes in this. Blade is a fun character. I've always liked that character. I mean, who doesn't love one of the few characters of color that is allowed to be in the Marvel Universe? But God, we don't get to see this in action movies, right?
No. Yeah. Yeah, we don't get to see the sidekick, and that's in quotes, folks, actually step up most of the time. And especially if that sidekick's a woman, almost inevitably they need to be saved. They need to be comforted. They need to be told to stop screaming. You know, none of that. Karen is not this. She sciences them so hard that she cures herself, can cure Blade if he wants to, and explodes a god.
Yup. Yeah. It's there's none of that, you know, half the time it'd be the comedic relief, right? You know, here's a gun.
Yeah,
Do you know how to use this? Oh, I guess I can. And then, you know, she shoots somebody and it's effective, but then she drops the gun or falls and it's silly and it's, oh, you're just the lady scientist. You're all about your brains. I know. She's going to figure this out. She's in it.
Yep.
It is, you rocked her world order and she fucking adjusted and then came for you. Great to see that. I love it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. So, Amber, what would you classify this movie as? Regrettable, outstanding, crazeballs, K, or solid?
This is a tough one. Because it's not, I mean, the dialogue isn't amazing. The action's really good, but it's not mind-blowing. I would say it is a solid movie. It has some fun crazeballs things with the way the action happens sometimes and also with some of the exploding bodies. I mean, as much as the movie itself is not necessarily outstanding, Karen is outstanding.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, that's some shit you don't get to see very often, much less in the 90s, much less in a comic book movie. I mean, that's just what we're just starting to see now in the Marvel Universe in its later phases.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's somehow more satisfying here because of how rare and hard won it feels. I don't know. The fact that this movie exists is impressive. That it got made is impressive. That it got made before comic book movies were massively profitable and owned by Disney is impressive. And then you have the character of Karen in it. What the shit? What the hell? There is something outstanding about this solid movie.
Yeah, I would say solid and and then K for kick-ass for Karen.
That's not how it works.
Weird.
Well, why don't you just do Anissa's story?
Okay, Amber. So very, very sadly, the Mets lost the playoffs, and the day after this, Dan was talking to Abby, and he was telling her that you know they oh shucks, they'd lost the night before, and he asked her, you know, what's more important than baseball? And asked her to list 5 things. And she said, souls, food, drinks, fun, and honesty.
Souls?
Souls.
Jeez.
I got her the book Soul a while ago, so it's one of her favorite books. Yeah,
there's a book called Soul.
It's based on the movie Soul. It's a Pixar.
Pixar.
Movie.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. That's quite a list.
It is.
Honesty is more important than baseball.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know that I could come up with a good list like this.
It's true. It's true. Although, you know,
my list would be Italian ice, orange Italian ice, lemon Italian ice. Yeah.
Just all the flavors of Italian ice. Not just Italian ice, it's specific flavors of it.
Yes.
Because root beer Italian ice, I assume, is not more important than baseball.
Oh, no, boo.
But passion fruit Italian ice, definitely more important than baseball.
More important than almost anything, yes.
You know, I am really glad that at the tender age of 5, Abby understands something that so many adult humans don't seem to grasp. And if a demon comes and says, hey, I'll give you whatever you want for your soul, she'd be like, see my list of things that are more important than baseball, bitch, because you're not getting that shit.
Nope. Yeah, pretty great. Amber, do us have a recommendation?
Sure. I don't want to have to come up with something independently. So yes, let us have a recommendation.
Excellent. Let's recommend Werewolf by Night, streaming on Disney.
Ah, that old chestnut that's brand new.
Yes. It's unexpected, Amber. I don't know that I want to say too much about it because
go in fresh.
I feel like people should go in fresh. So like skip ahead. We're not going to spoil much, but yeah, it's very atmospheric.
Indeed.
It's shot it's all in black and white, just about. It is a very different Disney thing.
Yes, which you knew. They sort of advertised it that way. It's different Disney. It's horror Disney. It's Halloween Disney. We have this weird IP. Let's make it. But it definitely has that feel of they let us do whatever we wanted, and we got weird with it.
We got weird with weird good though.
Oh I think, at least. No, there are so many instances of it. They're billing it as a show, I guess, but it's like a 50-ish minute contained story.
At least at this point, it's one. I don't know if they're going to have different more
chapters
coming.
or whatever.
Yeah,
but there's so many instances in it where I'm like, I'd watch a spinoff of this. I would watch more of this moment or this relationship or this person. And a lot of the choices some of the actors make are delightful. Just very entertaining to watch. It's a good way to burn 52 minutes. I thoroughly enjoyed my time, and it was unique and engrossing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yes.
Werewolf by Night
On the Disney Plus.
Yeah. Well, Amber.
Yes, Meghan.
This has been lovely. Delightful.
Hasn't it, though? Yes. We watched Blade.
We did.
We could definitely numerically do Blade 2 and Blade 3. They're much worse than this one. But the second one has Donnie Yen, who's not in it nearly enough, so that might not justify how awful it is. And the third one has Ryan Reynolds, like early days Ryan Reynolds.
And from what I hear, like Ryan Reynolds pisses off Wesley Snipes.
That is exactly
not the character, the Wesley.
Yeah, the human Reynolds pisses off the human Snipes. Snipes stays in Blade character the whole time. And I have a feeling that to someone like Ryan Reynolds, that just makes you try harder. And that really comes across in the movie. And it's great. The movie itself, but I mean, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynoldsing so hard.
Yeah.
And Snipes' Blade is so mad.
Yep. Excellent.
Might be worth it.
Yeah, we might have to watch that, at least on our own.
Well, Meghan?
Yes, Amber?
This has been a delightful October season.
Yes, happy Halloween, everybody.
Movie watch. I look forward to our next decision on what to watch. And I guess good day to you, my friend.
And I'll close this out like I always do by saying an early taste of death is not necessarily a bad thing. Spooky.
I mean, if by early taste of death you mean a vampire munching on fucking Karen and not finishing the job, then Karen will come for you. It's not a bad thing for Karen. You've only made Karen stronger, but it is a bad thing for you, okay? It's a bad thing for you, person who gave her the taste of death, because she will come for you. She is Karen, hematologist and slayer of gods.
Bye, Amber.
Bye, Megan.
Not going to get any better than that.